What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home?
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. It's the 3rd of November 2023. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Thiruni Karunaratna.
And I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Inspector General of Police C.D. Vikramaratne gets another service extension. Indian Finance Minister tours Jaffna. President to meet all parties after the budget. What documents did the CEO of the NMRA shred? Multiple factions call for investigations. LP gas prices to increase from tomorrow.
Your top story for tonight, Inspector General of Police C.D. Vikramaratne was granted another service extension for 3 weeks.
The President had given the 3-week service extension with effect from Friday. The previous 3-week service extension granted to Sri Lanka's Chief of Police, C.D. Vikramaratne, ended on Thursday. IGP Vikramaratne has already enjoyed 2 service extensions of 3 months each and an additional service extension of 3 weeks.
Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who was in Sri Lanka for a 3-day official visit, left the island this evening. She was in Jaffna earlier in the day, where she visited several historic sites.
Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman visited the Jaffna Cultural Centre on Friday morning. She inspected a new innovation exhibition held at the Jaffna Cultural Centre premises and thereafter headed to the Jaffna Public Library. The Indian Finance Minister placed floral tributes to the statue of the late Abdul Kalam at the Jaffna Public Library. A memento was presented to the visiting Indian Finance Minister. Thereafter, the Indian Finance Minister visited the Nallur Kandaswamy Kovil in Jaffna and obtained blessings. Nirmala Sitharaman thereafter inaugurated a branch of the State Bank of India in Jaffna. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman left Sri Lanka from the Palali International Airport aboard a special flight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also gave the keynote address on the theme of enhancing connectivity, partnering for prosperity at the India-Sri Lanka Business Summit in Colombo.
India is growing fast. It's the fastest growing economy. We are showing macroeconomic fundamentals which are absolutely strong. And on that, we are able to rapidly build confidence and grow faster. Now, Sri Lanka needs that. Solar and wind energy are of big ticket items which investments can rush in. Sri Lanka needs power, energy. It needs energy at an affordable rate. It needs energy for its businesses to thrive. It needs energy also for the plantations and the welfare of the plantation workers and so on. And when I therefore suggest with some audacity, pardon me, Chamber of Commerce Ceylon, that tea and tourism will certainly have to be your signature and top of the agenda because you've shown brilliance in that. But look at energy as well. Look at pharma as well. Look at many other sectors in which your resources and endowments have not been tapped. India proved that governance being right, you can scale up to any extent. We have saved a lot of public taxpayers, brought in transparency into the system, gave no place for middlemen. And within the first 2-3 years of doing it, through only central government schemes, we've saved 2 lakh crores of public taxpayers' money. When we get into technology, economies benefit, whether it is starting from identity, use digital identity, use financial inclusion through digital accounts, government benefits being transferred with technology. It brings in several unknown, unexpected benefits. Transparency is one of them and very important one. I think Sri Lanka and India stand to benefit.
The Indian Finance Minister stated that given today's global economic context, India and Sri Lanka must engage in strengthening bilateral relations between the two nations and explore policy options which can help minimize risk and volatility emanating from global economic and political developments.
It is for us now to make sure that India and Sri Lanka can have some economy integration of some sort, so the supply chains are all effectively managed. So no foreign exchange crisis or no dependence. Nobody is expecting to be dependent on any one economy. But yet, for logistical costs, for inputs in time, for some of the products which are essential but yet not completely produced by yourself, this kind of an arrangement would be of benefit for both our people. I would invite the Indian industries who have come here to have very meaningful point-to-point conversations with your counterparts in Ceylon, Sri Lanka. I see huge and immense potential for you to talk with them and for them to also exchange thoughts with you. The governments in both the countries are keen to facilitate any process that would help industry to grow.
An extraordinary gazette was issued increasing the duties and number of members of the Presidential Commission appointed to make necessary recommendations for the amendment of election laws.
The Commission of Inquiry was appointed on the 16th of October 2023 and is headed by retired Chief Justice, President's Counsel Priyasat Gerard Depp, and consists of 8 other members. The new Gazette increases the membership to 10 members with the inclusion of Alan Carmichael via David. The Extraordinary Gazette also details the expanded scope of the Commission. The following details were mentioned in the Gazette issued on the 16th of October. Examine all existing election laws and regulations and make necessary recommendations for the amendment of election laws to suit current needs. Increase women and youth representation. Reduce the period between the time of declaration of an election and the release of results after conducting such election. Provide an opportunity for electronic voting. Provide voting facilities for Sri Lankans overseas. Enable a person to contest 2 elections for the selection of people's representatives and have the opportunity to represent both councils at the same time if elected. Provide an opportunity for voters not serving in the government sector who are engaged in provision of election-related services on election day to use postal voting. Formulate an appropriate mechanism blended with the first past the post voting system for the election of people's representatives, not limiting to the proportional representation system. Make recommendations for the formulation of media standards for the appropriate use of media by political parties and independent groups. Make recommendations for the strengthening of laws and regulations related to registration of political parties and their operations in a manner that elicits trust and public accountability. In addition, the new Gazette entails the following as well: strengthening the multi-party system of Sri Lanka based on credible and stable political parties similar to other multi-party democracies, the accountability of the leadership to the members of political parties, the reduction of the expenditure incurred on election campaigns, the role of the political parties in strengthening national unity by promoting cooperation and mutual confidence among all sections of the people, the promotion of policy-based political parties by having the following factors as the objectives: safeguarding the sovereignty and independence of Sri Lanka, political and economic stability, a Sri Lankan identity, and raising the social and economic standards of the people by transformation into a developed economy.
The Government Medical Officers Association engaged in a token strike in the northern province today. The trade union action crippled activities across many hospitals in the province until it was called off at noon.
The token strike in the northern province was part of a series of trade union measures launched by the Government Medical Officers Association against the imposition of an unjust tax regime, failure to increase salaries and failure to address the mass exodus of medical professionals. Doctors at the Jaffna Teaching Hospital went on strike and OPD patients were severely inconvenienced. Doctors attached to the Point Pedro Base Hospital also protested opposite the hospital premises. As a result of the strike, only emergency services were available.
இவ்விடயம் சம்பந்தமாக அரசாங்கம்
We engaged in this strike as our demands were not met. We have informed the officials of the issues in the health sector. This strike is a one-day strike in the northern province.
தொழிற்சங்க போராட்டத்தை
Doctors attached to the Kilinochchi district-based hospital stepped away from their duties to protest. Patients visiting clinics were severely inconvenienced. At the same time, activities at the Mullativ Mallavi Base Hospital was limited to emergency services. Doctors attached to the Mannar District General Hospital also supported the strike.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe is prepared to discuss the country's new economic model with political leaders after the 2024 budget presentation. The president made these remarks at the first International Climate Change Forum at Temple Trees.
As we emerge from the economic crisis of debt restructuring and debt sustainability, the new model of the economy we look for and we be building will be based on highly competitiveness, digital transition, energy transition and transformation to a green economy. I mentioned this to some of the business leaders I met yesterday. I will discuss this with the leaders of political parties after the budget. But this is the path and the only path that is available to Sri Lanka. Building on this will be the agricultural modernization, the accelerated tourist program, amongst others. We have to identify our potential. Everyone says Sri Lanka is small. What's our chances? Being small has an advantage. But we have a large dry zone and our population is only 22 million. So we are going to have excess green energy. Not merely solar, wind power, hydrogen, but is what we are now focusing on. And Sri Lanka at the moment do not have the expertise to make the plans. So we are reaching out to the multilateral development banks and to our bilateral partners to get that expertise to put together a new plan.
Valerie Hickey, the Global Director for Environment at the World Bank, was among those present for the event.
The Government Medical Officers Association engaged in a token strike in the northern province today. As earlier mentioned, the trade union action crippled activities across many hospitals in the province until it was called off at noon.
The token strike in the northern province was part of a series of trade union measures launched by the Government Medical Officers Association against the imposition of an unjust tax regime, failure to increase salaries and failure to address the mass exodus of medical professionals. Doctors at the Jaffna Teaching Hospital went on strike and OPD patients were severely inconvenienced. Doctors attached to the Point Pedro Base Hospital also protested opposite the hospital premises. As a result of the strike, only emergency services were available.
We engaged in this strike as our demands were not met. We have informed the officials of the issues in the health sector. This strike is a one-day strike in the northern province.
Doctors attached to the Kilinochchi district-based hospital stepped away from their duties to protest. Patients visiting clinics were severely inconvenienced. At the same time, activities at the Mullativ Mallavi Base Hospital was limited to emergency services. Doctors attached to the Mannar District General Hospital also supported the strike.
The Government Medical Officers Association has decided to suspend the provincial level token strikes with effect from noon today.
Special Emergency Central Working Committee of GMOA unanimously decided to temporarily suspend the provincial level 24-hour token strike effective this afternoon. We were given a special meeting with the advisor to the President on Economic Affairs. We announced these decisions today by taking into consideration the agreements reached during that discussion, as well as some of the responses received directly from the President. We have been given a discussion with the President on the 9th. We will take other future actions only after taking into consideration what happens during this discussion.
A delegation from the Public Services Trade Union Alliance, which is demanding an allowance of 20,000 rupees from the budget, met with the GMOA and sought their support for their cause.
We took to the streets because we were deprived of a salary increment for 7 years. Do not attempt to play with us. We will win this struggle.
The State and Provincial Public Service Trade Union Alliance says that it needs to be given an assurance that an allowance of 20,000 rupees will be provided.
We need an acceptable solution. We do not need to hear contradicting statements from the President, Prime Minister and Ministers. We need a minimum salary hike of 20,000 rupees or an allowance from the budget. Only then will we end this struggle. If there is no mention of this in the budget, we will continue with our struggle. The government will not be able to end the struggle for our salaries by awarding a small amount.
Saman Ratnapriya, the Director General of Trade Unions to the President, responded.
Sri Lanka is bankrupt and defaulted on its debt. Seeking a 20,000 rupees salary hike means an addition of 30 billion will have to be added to the salary bill. It is not easy to locate 30 billion rupees. When the cabinet has passed a proposal, such requests are being made. That is not an ethical thing to do. This is against tradition. The trade unions must think about the country and refrain from engaging in political acts that cause confusion.
වෘත්ති සමිති ව්‍යාපාරය මේ වෙලාවේ රට ගැන හිතලා අනවශ්‍ය ආරවුල් දේශපාලනිකව හදන්නේ නැතුව කල්පනාවෙන් වැඩ කරන්න ඕන කියන කාරණයක් අවධාරණය කරනවා.
The Government Medical Officers Association said that temporary changes to positions will not completely end the medicinal drug mafia. Now, these remarks were made during a media briefing in Colombo.
The Society of Government Pharmacists recently revealed that the Chief Executive Officer of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority destroyed vital documents linked to the substandard and fake medicines that were introduced to the country and led to much controversy in recent times. On Thursday, the board members of the NMRA attempted to remove Vijitha Gunasekara from the post of CEO. However, he opposed the move, questioning the legality of it. An overseas travel ban already exists on the CEO of the NMRA. No details are available on the documents that he is alleged to have shredded that belongs to the NMRA. This is not the first time that an allegation of this nature was made to the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. On the 9th of July 2021, a total of 5,623 NMRA documents that were in the government cloud were deleted. Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Piris from the Attorney General's Department, making submissions in court, revealed that the deletion of data was an act and a conspiracy by the medicine mafia, which imports medicines and equipment to the country and generates money illegally. However, to date, the motive of this data deletion and who ordered it remains a mystery. Against such a backdrop, the Chief Executive Officer of the NMRA faces fresh allegations of document destruction.
Legal action will have to be taken against those responsible. You can solve this issue by temporarily removing those involved. Despite the allegations being proven, some of those who face these charges remain in their positions. This shows the might of the medicine mafia. The incidents surrounding immunoglobulin are just one event of the chains of the events. Investigations were carried out into the deletion of data from the NMRA system. What happened. At first it was said that it was an accident. However, one person took hours to selectively delete the documents from the system. What legal action was taken to those who committed this act? We are not talking about remanding them and releasing them. We are highlighting this because the medicine mafia is fearlessly engaging in these acts in the open.
Activists from the Health Service visited the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka over the matter.
The supplier, who is the main accused in the immunoglobulin deal, told the court that a mechanism linked to the then Health Minister, Health Secretary and the health officials was behind this. His evidence is crucial. We request the CID, the Justice Minister and the Minister in charge of the police to ensure that this witness is protected. This witness must be provided with security.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම පියවර ගත යුතුයි. සැකකරුට අවශ්‍ය කරන ආරක්ෂාව අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ලබා දිය යුතුයි. ජාතික ඖෂධ නියාමන අධිකාරියේ ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරියා විජිත් ගුණසේකර.
The CEO of the NMRA, Vijit Gunasekara, remains in the NMRA premises without leaving. The letter removing him from his post was sent to the Health Secretary and he is not signing the letter. He might fear that if the CEO is removed and the documents are leaked, their character would be exposed.
හෙලි වෙනවා. ඒකට බය වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. වර්තමාන ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාටත් අපි කියනවා.
The names of those in the office of President Ranil Wickremesinghe are linked to this. In addition, the names of those who pressured the Health Ministry are also mentioned. We need justice. Do not obstruct the CID investigation.
අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට කෙලින් හිටගන්න අවස්ථාව දෙන්න.
The Department of Meteorology says that the South, Sabaragamu, Central, Uva, North, Northwest and North Central provinces may experience thunderstorms with strong lightning tonight. Issuing a weather advisory on strong lightning, the department mentioned that some areas of those provinces may experience heavy rains of about 100 millimeters.
Low-lying areas and the roads of Panadugama has been flooded due to the overflowing of the Nilwala river with heavy showers experienced in the Matara district. The Akurasa Kumburupitiya road was inundated from the Hondugoda area. The Akurasa Siambalagoda road was inundated from the Panadugama area. Meanwhile, Newsfirst correspondent reported that low-lying areas in Walakavala, Maragoda and Aturaliya are also flooded. Due to heavy rains experienced in the Hatton area, 15 houses in Fordayas estate, Dikkoya, were flooded. According to our correspondent, the overflowing of the Dikkoya canal was the reason for the flooding of houses, roads and low-lying lands in that area. 3 sluice gates of the Udavalava reservoir have now been opened and water is released into the Valava river. The body of an individual who went missing after being hit by a wave in Pallekanda Deniyaya was found today. The police said that he was swept away by the floods last night during the heavy rains. The deceased is a resident of Pallekanda. According to the police, the body of the deceased was sent to the Mathura General Hospital for the post-mortem examinations. A tree fell onto a building in the Mirigama Gaspe Primary School, damaging the school gate and the building. Meanwhile, with the heavy showers experienced in Hambantota, the Hambantota Udamattala Junior School was flooded.
The Frontline Socialist Party raised concerns over the increase in the special commodity levy on imported sugar, citing that it could have led to another sugar tax scam. The special commodity levy on a kilogram of imported sugar was increased from 25 cents to 50 rupees.
වසර 3කට පස්සේ නැවත වතාවක් සීනි බදු වංචාවක් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
After a hiatus of 3 years, another sugar tax scam had taken place. On the 2nd of November 2023, the special commodity levy on imported sugar was increased from 25 cents to 50 rupees. This is an increase of 49 rupees and 75 cents. A day before this tax was increased, a certain company had the tax per kilogram for that shipment was 25 cents. The revenue for the state from this consignment of 520 20,000 kilograms is just 130,000 rupees. However, if the 50 rupee tax was imposed, the revenue will be over 11 million. Instead, this company paid 130,000 rupees and had the shipment released. On the 13th of October 2022, the tax was reduced from 50 rupees to 25 cents, and those linked to the scam last time are linked to it this time as well.
වෙනුවට 1,30,000ක මුදලක් දීලා තමයි මේ ටික නිදහස් කරගත්තේ. මේ සමාගම 2020 ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 13 වෙනිදා සීනි කිලෝග්‍රෑමයක් සඳහා වන බදු මුදල රුපියල් 50ක ඉඳලා 725ට අඩු කරපු ගැසට් නිවේදනයේ ඇතුලේ.
Convening a media briefing, the Samagi United Trade Union Alliance expressed the following views.
මතක ඇති සයිනොපෙක් කෙනකොට කිව්වා දැන් මිල වැඩි කරලා දින 3යි 92න් රුපියල් 9ක් අඩු කරා 92.
They mentioned that it has been 3 days since Sinopec was introduced. They reduced rupees 9 from rupees 92. The CPC, IOC and Sinopec did so after gaining a profit of rupees 10 after gaining a profit of rupees 21 and 90 cents. When the Sinopec ship was coming to the country, they removed the 1% tax from Sinopec and the minister added rupees 50 to diesel, petrol, super diesel and super petrol. I challenged the minister to file a court case against me if what I am saying is wrong and if I am misleading the public. You became a pet of foreign companies for money. They are looting rupees 71 from a litre of petrol. They increase the price by rupees 3 to 4 at a time when they are looting rupees 75 per litre of diesel. IOC, Sinopec and CPC earns a net profit of rupees 71 per litre of kerosene. They increase the price by rupees 7 at a time when they are earning a profit of rupees 14 and 54 cents per litre. This is looting. They are giving tax relief to foreign companies, reduce the petrol price below rupees 7 from the price it is being sold at Sinopec. Reduce the price of diesel by rupees 3. At the moment, CPC and Sinopec are issuing fuel to a maximum of 100 filling stations. Only 7% of the total fuel requirement of the country was issued. They have earned more than 7 billion rupees from the 44,000 metric tons of shipment they brought in July within the selling network of 7%. This is looting and they can reduce the price.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa expressed his views on the recent cabinet reshuffle.
දැන් වැඩබැරි කුහකයෝ කොට්ටාසයක් මට චෝදනා කරනවා පාසලට අවිල්ලා දේශපාලනය කතා කරනවා. මං අහන්න කැමතියි.
Incompetent individuals are accusing me of going to schools and talking about politics. I would like to ask whether the right to information is only relevant to adults. I saw the other day that the president brought the people who implemented the destruction of organic fertilizers in this country to the UN conference. Why were they taken? Was it to give a bad advice and destroy the agriculture of countries around the world? How do they have money for those travels but not for food? There was a cabinet reshuffle in the recent past. There's a deal to sell Sevanagala behind the reshuffle. Only one person has objected the deal. The plantation portfolio has been removed from that person and given to another. Why sell Sevanagala to your close friend? Don't children have a right to know the truth behind this?
The opposition leader expressed these views while joining a program to provide smart classroom equipment worth 1 million to the Nugagolla Mahavidyalaya in Laggala, Matale.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena expressed the following while attending the opening of the Dhamma Hall of the Kusumpokuna Sri Pushparama Temple in Madrigiriya.
වත්කම් ප්‍රකාශනයේ මම දීලත් තියෙනවා අපේ නීතිඥ මහත්වරුන්ට. ඒක ගැන කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. මගේ වත්කම් ගැන කිසිම ආරවුලක් නැහැ. මට ඇති වත්කමක් නැහැ.
That is the problem. The people of this country also should see why they are always dragging me into this. The people who detonated the bombs and the terrorists are behind bars. Those cases are also not followed effectively. There is politics behind this.
Cooking gas prices in Sri Lanka will be increased tomorrow.
Litrogas has decided to increase the prices of its products from Saturday midnight. The Litro chairman, adding that the revised prices will be announced on Saturday morning, said that the prices of a 12.5 kilogram cooking gas cylinder can increase by Rs 75 to Rs 90. Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance of the Parliament of Sri Lanka, Dr. Harsha De Silva, said public officials must be held accountable for corruption similar to politicians.
Now the IMF's agreement or the condition is that we have to have a primary balance of something like 2.3% by 2026 or 27. Right? It's a difficult task, but then that is going to discipline the government to work within its means. You have to expand the cake, no? I mean, if you tax 10% from a million rupees economy, you will get 100,000. But if you tax 10% of a 2 million rupees economy, you get 200,000. So the real issue is where is growth, right? Where is growth going to come from, right? So in that context, I think that is why I talked about reform. It is a two-step process. With reform, then you will have growth. The politicians must be able to they must be accountable. Right? At least you can vote the politician out. But sometimes officials are far more corrupt, and they don't ever go away. They stay for 30, 40 years.
Day 41 of the LOLC Divi Savya program took place in the Badulla district. The LOLC Divi Savya program was launched to provide much needed school books and stationery equipment to the school students of the country. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC group and the Ministry of Education. Under today's program, LOLC Divi Savya provided much needed school books and stationery equipment to the students of the Namanukula Vidyalaya, Demeriya Tamil Vidyalaya and Passara Tamil Vidyalaya. In addition, school books and stationery equipment were provided to the students of the Kanavaralla No. 2 Tamil Vidyalaya, Bavekale Tamil Vidyalaya and Bibilagama Primary School. School books and stationery items were also provided to students at the Passara Zonal Education Office. The LOLC Divi Savya program will continue to create a bright future for the country's student population.
Sri Lanka national Bandara Yatavara was killed during the Israel-Hamas war that broke out on the 7th of October.
This was confirmed by the Sri Lankan embassy in Israel today.
48-year-old Bandara Yatavara was a resident of Vennapur. Moreover, 11 Sri Lankans who were living in Gaza crossed the Rafah border crossing with Egypt safely. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Cairo, in coordination with the Egyptian authorities and the Sri Lankan representative in Ramallah, facilitated the entry into Egypt of 11 Sri Lankan nationals belonging to two families who were stranded in the Gaza Strip through the Rafah border crossing, which is 320 kilometers away from Cairo. A team of officials from the embassy received the 11 Sri Lankans at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border and has made arrangements to provide transportation to Cairo for facilitation of their return to Sri Lanka.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is traveling to Israel to discuss steps in reducing civilian harm in the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Meanwhile, international pressure is mounting as many South American countries cut diplomatic ties with Israel.
Wagner and Hezbollah fighters have both operated in Syria for years, where they have been working alongside Russian and Syrian armed forces to bolster the Assad regime against the Syrian opposition. Hezbollah began to pull its fighters out in recent years, but the group is also backed by Iran, which is a close Assad ally. Israel and Hezbollah have been exchanging deadly fire across the Israel-Lebanese border since Hamas launched an attack on Israel on the 7th of October. The latest confrontation is considered the deadliest escalation at the frontier since the 2006 war. The United States approved nearly $14.5 billion military aid package on Thursday for Israel, a muscular US response to the war with Hamas. Meanwhile, a journalist in Gaza broke down on live television after his colleague Mohammed Abu Hattab was killed. The Palestine TV correspondent Mohammed Abu Hattab was reportedly killed in an attack on his home that also killed 11 of his family members in Khan Yunus, southern Gaza.
منذ نصف ساعة فقط وغادرنا الآن هو وزوجته وابنه وأخيه وكثير من عائلته هم ضحايا هنا في داخل المستشفى.
According to the State Department, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is traveling to Israel today and Jordan on Saturday. The U.S.'s top diplomat is meeting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's seeking concrete steps to minimize harm to civilians in Gaza. Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi said he will press Blinken on ceasefire. Israeli army spokesperson Daniel Hagari said on Thursday that a ceasefire is not on the table and forces have completed the encirclement of the city of Gaza. Israel criticized Bolivia, Chile and Colombia on Wednesday after the South American countries undertook a series of diplomatic moves to protest Israel's military operations against Hamas in Gaza. Other Latin American countries, including Argentina and Brazil, have also increased their criticism of the impact that Israel's military operations are having on civilians. Israel will return Gazans working inside the country to the besieged Palestinian territory, the government said, almost 4 weeks after it began its bombardment of the coastal enclave in response to a deadly cross-border attack. On Friday, Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah will make his first public address since war broke out between Israel and Hamas.
Addressing the gathering at the opening of the courts complex in Valimada today, President Ranil Wickremesinghe drew attention to the contrasting approaches of the international community when it comes to addressing human rights concerns in Sri Lanka and Gaza.
When Hamas attacked Israel on 7th of October, the government of Sri Lanka condemned it. I said, though Sri Lanka stands by the principle of Palestinian statehood, we cannot condone this act. We can't condone terrorism. And it also left the government with the right of retaliation within the laws and rules available in the international community. But that, in my view, does not in any way justify the killings of over 10,000 people in the Gaza Strip. This is not figures that I have, these are figures that are being quoted by the UN agents. Now this raises another issue. Are you entitled to have declare war to one area of your own country? Can you go to war against? Now, we have gone through this question. And can countries condone it? Because when we brought a motion for the ceasefire, many of our countries, all of us voted for it. USA opposed it, and some other countries also opposed it. Now this is the question. Why is it that they are acting in this manner? Because last year in October, at the Human Rights Council, they all got together and passed a resolution against it. The country that moved it was Canada, who was also, and this time, moved the amendment to the ceasefire resolution. Canada has become now the henchman for moving these resolutions. Now the resolution has been moved against and passed by it. And we all have to follow it. So I only want to point out, now what is this difference? We have been asked in this, underscoring the importance of addressing the underlying governance factors and root causes that have contributed to that crisis, including deepening militarization, lack of accountability in governments and impunity of human rights violation, abolition and abusers. Now if this is good for Sri Lanka, it must also apply to Palestine. After all, what is taking place in West Bank and the removal of the bringing in of settlers is a big issue. Then why is it that one rule applies to us and another rule applies to them? This is the question I have.
The official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023.
Afghanistan defeated Netherlands at the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup by 7 wickets, and cricket fans can watch and listen to all the action of the World Cup via MTV NBC Networks, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament. The matches are being streamed live on www.sirisatv.lk.
After winning the toss and entering the field to bat first, the opening wicket of the Dutch team fell at 3 runs. The partnership for the second wicket was at 70 runs. Afghanistan bowlers managed to take the first 5 wickets of the Netherlands team for 97 runs. Engelbert scored 58 runs with 6 boundaries. All 6 Dutch batsmen could not cross the 10-run mark. Mohammad Nabi bagged 3 wickets. Batting first in the match, the Dutch were bowled out for 179 runs. Ramanullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Sardan opened Afghanistan's reply innings with a target of 180 runs. Gurbaz scored 10 runs and Sardan was out for 20 runs. Afghanistan won by 7 wickets in 31 overs.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Sandra Ferdinando.
And I'm Piruni Karunaratna. Take care and good night.